go, time pirates go. She'd not been but 2 years from shore when her value began to soar. The captain called all hands and swore he'd take those bankers in tow. Soon may the pirate chain come to bring us crypto, gold, and rum. One day when the system is done, we'll take our treasure and go. Before the boat had hit the water, bankers came but never caught her. All in sync, we hid and fought them, they began to know. No chain was cut, no block was free, when the captain's mind was not on greed. He belonged to the pirates' creed and took those bankers in tow. Soon may the pirate chain come to bring us crypto, gold, and rum. One day when the system is done, we'll take our treasure and go. Da 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 da. For fiat days to be no more, the crypto sank, then rose once more. Coins were lost, yet we still endured. Finally that system did go. As far as I've heard, the fight's still on, the chain's not cut and the block's not gone. We pirates make our regular call, where the captain, crew, and all. Soon may the pirate chain come to bring us crypto, gold, and rum. One day when the system is done, we'll take our treasure and go. Soon may the pirate chain come to bring us crypto, gold, and rum. One day when the system is done, we'll take our treasure and go. We'll take our treasure and go.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to this special edition of our pirate meetings. This is going to be on war again for a couple reasons. One, the bridge is getting finalized today, as well as the staking page and everything, so we will have that, I believe, ready today, maybe in the next couple hours, depending on when the team gets back to me. And then from that point, liquidity should be launched on PancakeSwap, and you'll be able to convert from war to R, or R to war, and back and forth, and all that fun jazz. Now, the other big reason for this meeting is because there is a lot of still a lot of misconceptions and a lot of misunderstandings as well in terms of war. Even though we did have that FAQ meeting before, I did compile another list of questions that kind of rose out from random members that, to me it seemed like, it should have been understood, but it wasn't. But no worries. We also posted the FAQ that I generated on I believe Medium. Correct me if I'm wrong, Tim or Cax. But I'll go through each of those questions and then provide the response to them. So, as everyone knows, WARRR is just a tokenized version of R on BSC, so Binance Smart Chain. It allows users to exit the platform into Pirate Chain and become anonymous. It does not affect Pirate Chain's privacy whatsoever. WARRR in of itself is obviously transparent because it's on Binance Smart Chain, but once you leave WARRR and go back to R, that's when it just disappears. nobody knows where the funds go after that. So, the thing about WARRR is that there's a transaction fee that occurs when you buy or sell or send. So there's a 1% fee, half of which goes to the liquidity stakers, and I'll get to that in a moment. And the other half goes to the project for development and marketing and so forth. Now, for those of you who do not know anything about DeFi, have not been involved in it, or just have a very limited understanding of it, basically, you can think of liquidity as the amount of WARRR and BNB that's available on that trading pair. So if you were to go to a centralized exchange, you would see basically a ton of buys and sell orders up and ready to go. But since it's on PancakeSwap and that's identical to Uniswap, the way that works is you place a buy or sell order and it instantly goes through. However, depending on how much you're buying or selling, affects the price going up or down or whatever percentage. Now, if there's, say, a little bit of liquidity in there, then someone making a big purchase, it affects the price significantly. Whereas if there's a lot of liquidity and someone makes a big purchase, it's way less of a price impact. I mean, that's pretty much a given. Now, let me roll through some of these other questions. So, one of them was, is WARRR backed one-to-one? Right? Yeah, WARRR is absolutely backed one-to-one, and it doesn't work in the way that some people thought it did, in the sense that some people were asking, well, who's providing the WARRR for collateral for the bridge? That's not necessary. The bridge for WARRR works in such a way that WARRR is available on the bridge for users to convert their R to, right? So when you send R to the bridge, it credits you with WARRR and holds that R in the bridge. So if someone is coming back from WARRR to R, then they'll get that R that they're sending in the amount of whatever WARRR that they send. So think of it this way. The WARRR that's in the bridge is not in circulation. Okay? So when you send R to the bridge and it releases WARRR to you, the amount of, whatever you send, that WARRR is now in circulation. There's never going to be more WARRR in circulation than there is R in the bridge. Ever. Like I said, it's one-to-one, and that's how that works. So, as far as how much WARRR is available, there's 30 million WARRR that was generated at the token generation event, which has already happened. Okay, so that 30 million WARRR was generated. A little bit of it was sent to the bridge for testing, which is going to stay in the bridge. And then once we are ready to go, then 10 million is going to be sent to the bridge and held there until people start converting R to WARRR and back and forth and so forth. So the rest of the amount, which is 20 million, is locked in a multi-sig wallet that is owned by the team, and there's 7 signers to that wallet. So this way, it requires 4 out of the 7 to just add additional funds to the gateway or the bridge, I would say.
Nice, like a DAO. 7 people all over the world. Is it random?
It's random. So basically, no one person can send any funds from that wallet ever. So it's in a Gnosis vault, and it requires at least 4 people to send any funds to the bridge. So does this add to the existing supply of R? It does not. Because keep in mind that no WARRR will be in circulation that is not backed by R, right? So, like I said before, there's no war that anybody could have that wasn't previously, that is not, the equal amount of war in circulation is equal to the amount of R in the bridge, right? So if there's, say, 100,000 war, then there's got to be 100,000 R in the bridge.
And I know this is going to come up, so I'm just going to have to play the devil. Can that be related? Those 4 people in charge of the inflationary scheme, right? Of the token.
It's not an inflationary scheme. It's not an inflationary scheme because, like I said, there's no.
Can it be related to a trusted setup somehow? Like there was 87 people, right? That was entrusted with a trusted setup. Here are 7 people, but only 4 of them need to cooperate with each other, right? So how safe is that?
It's not.
Well, considering out of the 7,
it's a multi-sig wallet, not a trusted setup.
Yeah, it's different.
Barely hear you, Forge. Could you somebody buy this guy a microphone?
Like I said, it's not a trusted setup. It's a multi-sig wallet.
It's a multi-sig wallet? I got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then the whole purpose of it is to provide funding to the bridge, like additional war to the bridge. So in the event that, say, 10 million war is in circulation because there's 10 million R in the bridge, that means that nobody else can convert R to war. So in that type of event, that's when we would provide additional war to the bridge so that additional users can convert R to war and go on to BSC.
And how much fault tolerance does this have? Like how far can this go? Like at some point, will we see 50% of the supply being 50-50 with war? Or how far does it go?
The maximum it can go is 15%. So 30 million war is generated and no more will ever be generated. Because we do not have a minting function in the contract, which means that no additional war can be made. So
that's still that's a fraction of the supply still.
Yeah,
tiny
exactly.
Fraction. Got it.
So we had long discussions on how much should be generated.
Now, if there's such a tiny amount in circulation supply just for that DeFi group, what's going to happen to the price if there's not that many coins there?
Well, consider this, right? So it's all has to do with arbitration. It all has to do with, people using it as a service and so forth, right? So if people are buying war to exit anonymously from, DeFi in general or BSC, right? That means that war is going back into the bridge and then R is being, sent to that person's address. But if the price of war obviously, shoots up for some whatever reason, then obviously you're going to have people that are going to go into war and then basically convert their R to war, sell, and then, level out the price.
The Art of War. That's a great title.
You could just think of it as another exchange. Because war and R are always pegged and always will be pegged at a 1-to-1 ratio. If the ratio or if the price of war goes up, the other prices on the other exchanges will also go up because people can exchange their war for R and get a better deal, or they can go the other direction. So it'll automatically adjust so that the price of war will always be the price of R just through regular market forces.
Well, you will have certain instances where people will buy R to try and arbitrage, but
so
arbitrage,
it'll be arbitrage opportunity, right?
Fluctuate.
Yeah, there will be arbitrage opportunities and things like that, obviously, because it's just just like any other exchange. You know, if there's a way higher price on one exchange that compared to the next, people are going to send to that exchange and sell, and
Oh
then buy
Jesus
back
Christ,
on
man.
another exchange.
This could pop like to the moon.
Well, I don't know about that, but you know, it gives BSC users a way to exit BSC privately. So,
Yeah, there's a lot of users on those. I hate ETH and Bean. I hate those things, guys. If you guys that know me, you know I hate that stuff. I hate tokens. But there's a lot of goddamn people there. I'll tell you that, man. I've been in lots of groups, and Jesus Christ, there's a lot of people in that DeFi stuff.
there's a lot of money there, absolutely.
There's a lot of people.
Yeah. So now another thing I wanted to bring up was staking, right? Because some people have the misconception that you can just stake WARR, which is not technically true, right? You can stake liquidity, right? So what does that mean? What that means is you can convert R to WARR, and then provide liquidity to the WARR BNB pair, right? And we'll have instructional videos on how to do that and all that other fun jazz, so people are up to speed and can follow along with that. We also have documentation that's being written so people can follow that instead.
Is it hey Dre, is it possible to work with like maybe Shapeshift and automate the whole process of off exiting the DeFi markets? Like make it a one button boom, and it'll do it for them.
It pretty much already is, because literally with the page that we're setting up, all you got to do is select the drop down where it says send your whatever funds you're converting to, and then hit convert, and then it'll give you an address to send to. Then you send the funds to that address, and then you're done.
Oh man, we got to make it easier than that, dude.
It is easier.
Way too many steps.
Well, Shapeshift is the same thing.
It's gonna be awesome. I can't wait to see what you're making, man. What this comes out today?
Yes, it should. Yeah, I'm waiting on just a couple minor things. The bridge is almost done. Like I said, the website is almost done, and we just got to point. Once that's done, we got to point the IP to it, IP to the domain, and then that's that. So,
man, I love all the projects, guys. Really nice stuff. And Pirate Advisor is going to be out soon too, guys.
Yeah. So, like I was saying about liquidity, so when you go on PancakeSwap, right, you can go to the WARR BNB pair, and then click on click on liquidity and hit add liquidity. Right. So when you do that, you select WARR and you select BNB, and then enter in the amount that you want to provide, and both sides have to be equal. So if you put in, say, $50 worth of WARR, you have to put in $50 worth of BNB. It's plain and simple like that. So once you do that, and then you supply the liquidity, it provides you with liquidity pool tokens specific to that pool. Right, so then from there you go to the website, which would be warr.pirate.black, or we have another domain that we're working on called warr.io. And so you just go there and then click on, approve the pair. Then you click on, max, so automatically fills in the amount of LP tokens you have, and hit supply. You're done. And then from there you just sit. Every so often, you just claim your rewards, which is rewarded in WARR, and then you can do what you want with them. So you can just hold on to them. You can convert it back to R if you want, whatever you want. But like I said, it's not just straight WARR that you're staking. It's liquidity pool tokens of WARR and BNB when you provide liquidity. And like I said, we'll have full documentation on how to do all of that. We'll have instructional videos and all that other fun stuff too. So now I keep getting this question every so often. It drives me nuts because APY is pretty much bullshit in crypto for the most part. 95% of projects I've seen that post an APY, it's completely useless. because the APY changes every second or every minute, basically. So there's no real reason to show an APY because it's always going to be wrong. So, long story short, the way that users are rewarded WARR from staking is from the transaction fees from buying, selling, or sending WARR anywhere, right? Now, obviously, those transactions just are different every day. You know, you can have like 1,000 transactions one day and then like 300 the next day and so forth, right? On top of that, you have more people or less people staking liquidity, so that also influences that too. So all of that being said, APY is just something that you should just forget completely. Like I said, 95% of projects out there that state an APY, they're wrong. Like literally straight up wrong because they change every minute. So there's no reason to actually have an APY listed anywhere. So just keep that in mind. Now, another thing too to go over is something called impermanent loss. Now, this is a slightly complicated topic. We'll provide links to certain references that explain it in depth. But the very, very basic understanding of impermanent loss, which has to do with, providing liquidity for a pair on, say, on PancakeSwap or Uniswap or wherever, is like when you provide liquidity, even without staking, you get rewarded like 0.3%, or like the total pool gets rewarded 0.3% of the transaction, right? So if you have, say you're the only person providing liquidity, you're getting that 0.3%. However, when the price goes up or down, the amount of liquidity you provided changes in value because you're getting more of one asset than the other at that point, right? So if the price of, say, WARR goes up, that means that you now have less WARR because people are buying it, and you have more BNB because people are spending it. So the price differs as you go up compared to when you provided liquidity. So if you provided liquidity at, say, $1, and then the price goes up to, say, $2, I think that's like a 6.5% difference in the value of your liquidity. Something to that extent. It's really, really complicated, but over time it should level out. Either way, this is also the reason for staking and getting rewarded for, providing liquidity, because this way it makes up for that impermanent loss. And like I tell everybody, this is something that is long term. Staking for a WARR is not a short term thing, because literally you want to make sure that you just have liquidity that you have staked and just leave it, because at that point it becomes a passive income no matter how much you're getting. So by providing liquidity like that, you're actually getting a passive income from all the transactions that occur on BSC from WARR. So, but yeah, in terms of impermanent loss, like I said, we'll provide links and everything on how that works and what it affects and things like that. But that's the basics of how that what that is. Another question was, is there a status on how much R/WARR are available on the bridge? Yes. We will have stats that are live. I believe they'll update maybe every 5 seconds or so, that show how much R is in the bridge and how much WARR is in circulation. And these will actually be linked stats, so that this way it's real statistics. So you'll actually see how much WARR is in circulation, how much WARR is in the bridge, and how much R is currently in the bridge as well. This way you can see that, okay, these numbers line up, and there's no extra WARR or no less WARR in circulation than there is R in the bridge. So it's all about accountability, all about transparency. Well, transparency in how things work, not transparency in money, because money shouldn't be transparent.
Will there be a way to independently verify that?
Oh yeah, I mean, you can look at block explorers and everything, and to see how much, like, basically, you can look at the wallets that are associated with the bridge, and then subtract that amount from the total supply to get how much WARR is in circulation.
What about on the R side?
What's that?
What about on the R side?
On our side, you mean, for the R side of things?
Yeah, the R side.
See, that that could be a little dangerous in a sense, because if, say, we were to provide a view key to that bridge, then you'll start seeing what addresses they came from, and that's publicly see that. That's dangerous.
You can't. The protocol doesn't show the sending address.
Wait, it doesn't?
No. The receiver of funds can never see who sent it to them. So if we publish the viewing key, the full viewing key, well, we'd probably want to just publish the incoming viewing key. We wouldn't want to see where they were sent, so we wouldn't want to publish the full viewing key. If we just publish the incoming viewing key, then we could see incoming. Well, that wouldn't happen. Never mind. Because we'd only be able to see incoming transactions. We wouldn't be able to see outgoing transactions.
Yeah, so you wouldn't be able to see where that those funds were sent from.
We won't be able to see where they're sent from, but we'd be able to see where they were sent to on the wARRR conversion.
Okay, so basically we'll just see we'll be able to see the total amount of WARR, or total amount of R that's in the bridge from that incoming view key.
The incoming view key would provide a balance.
So I couldn't hear you. What?
Yeah, we could use the incoming view key to provide a balance of the.
Yeah, if that's the case, then let me pull you into the group.
Yeah, we'll have to do some programming, because right now we don't have the ability to just import an incoming view key. We only use the full viewing key.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I'll pull you into our group, and then we can discuss that for a later implementation, because we're trying to just get this stuff ready to go today. So that sounds like it would require a little more work.
Yeah, it's going to require a little bit of programming, at least on the full node side, to be able to do that. It's actually stuff that I took out when I implemented the full viewing key.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Yeah, let's discuss that later.
Okay.
All right, so another question was, what happens if I send more R to the bridge than there is available in WARR? Right, so if you send 100 R to the bridge, and there's only 50 WARR available, what ends up happening is you will receive that 50 WARR to your BSC address, and then the 50 R will get bounced back to you. So it's smart enough to know that, there's not enough WARR, and it'll refund you the difference between the available WARR and how much R you send. Now, another person asked, what are the bridge fees to swap? As you all know, Binance Smart Chain, their fees are dirt cheap. I don't imagine it being more than 0.1 R for using the bridge to go from one way to another or vice versa. Another person was asking if WARRR was private. Obviously, it's not. It's not on. It's on BSC, which is a transparent chain. But this does not affect Pirate Chain's native chain at all. It's not in any way linked to the chain itself. It's just utilizing a bridge service so that when you send R, you receive WARRR and vice versa. So there's no fork required, nothing. It's literally just a bridge service. Now, one thing that I added to the FAQ that wasn't asked, which was, is WARRR intended for all users? No, not in any way, shape, or form. WARRR is intended for those that are familiar with DeFi, meaning, EVM chains like BSC, Polygon, OKEx, and so forth, right? So for those familiar with using BSC, on our side, that this is meant for those type of people. Now, that doesn't mean you can't learn how it works and so forth, especially if you want to dabble in it. But if you do decide to do that, you can follow the instructional videos and content that we're producing on how to utilize WARRR and things like that. Its main purpose is to serve as a service to those on BSC and potentially other platforms in the future to exit that platform and make their funds private by converting their funds back from WARRR to R. So you'll be able to sell your assets on BSC for WARRR and then go from WARRR to R, and then your funds just vanish. And if you really wanted to, and you wanted to eventually go back into BSC for whatever reason, you can actually, convert your funds from R to WARRR. So technically, after it goes from WARRR to R, it disappears, and then when you go back again to WARRR, it reappears somewhere else if you provide a different address to send to. So nobody like those wallets obviously can't be linked at that point from that specific those two transactions that you're doing.
Well, we should talk about chain analysts at this point, analysis, because if it's going to be, it's very similar to a T to Z to T transaction. If you're doing a WARRR to R to WARRR conversion really quickly.
Well, technically, it's a T to Z to Z to Z to T.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, your endpoints are transparent. So if your funds are, if you're doing the transfer pretty quickly and you're not changing the amount of the funds, it's going to be pretty easy to link those two addresses, those two transparent endpoints. The same way you can do with a T address going through a Z address. We just need to be aware of that. It's not going to be completely invisible based on the usage.
Well, yeah, but if you go from, for example, if you go send funds from WARRR and convert it to R, right? What happens is it goes from BSC, right, and then the R is sent from a Z address to your Z address. And then when you take those funds, if you want to go back into BSC again, you send it back to the gateway, and then if you're sending it to a different address, I don't see how those two addresses could even be analyzed.
If you're going WARRR to WARRR, then you go through 3 Z addresses. If your difference is 0.003 just to account for the fees, and you're within a couple of seconds or a couple of minutes, those two transactions are going to look very, very likely to be able to be linked.
Oh yeah, it depends on timing. It depends on if you send literally the same amount and so forth.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean,
okay, I see what
it's
you're
not going to be completely invisible. people should take some steps to make sure that they're looking like their behavior is pseudo-random or random, to make sure that they're not clearly able to link the two wARRR transactions.
Yeah, and that's the main point of saying that wARRR is not private. wARRR is transparent, but it's, like I said, used as a service to exit BSC privately. So once it leaves BSC and you convert to R, from that point, nobody can see what you have or where you're sending it or doing anything with it. But I'm not sure if we should provide that kind of advice, Forge, on our documentation, because that's...
I'm not saying that we give people advice on how to keep their transactions private, just letting people know or be aware that the chain analysis can link up wARRR transactions based on behavior.
Yeah. Specifically wARRR transactions, yeah.
Yes.
But that's the nature of being on a transparent chain.
That is the nature of being on a transparent chain.
So aside from that, I think that runs through all the stuff that I had prepared for the FAQ and things like that. And like I said, the main purpose of wARRR is to exit BSC privately, also to gain exposure in a completely different ecosystem that's filled with users. I mean, they have a massive user base, so it provides a way for those users to exit with like complete anonymity, because it goes to a Z address, and at that point nobody could see anything inside that Z address. So yeah, so let's take some questions if anybody has any. Hopefully not, because hopefully I explained it pretty well, and hopefully everyone understood what we were talking about, and also what Forge was mentioning and everything. So, but if you do have a question, raise your hand, and then we'll bring you on.
Somebody's asking on YouTube, can you explain again what the purpose of the team's multi-sig wallet is?
The purpose of the multi-sig wallet is to hold the additional wARRR that's not released to the bridge. You don't want to release all the funds to the bridge. You want to make sure that you have them locked away, because if nobody ever converts enough R to eat up all that's on the bridge, there's no point in having an additional 20 million on the bridge. So what we decided to do was take 20 out of the 30 million wARRR, put that into a multi-sig wallet that's got to be signed by at least 4 out of the 7 signers, or 4 of the 7 owners, I guess you would call it. And this way, if more wARRR is needed on the bridge, the team can decide, okay, let's provide an additional 5 million to the bridge so more people can convert R to wARRR. 4 out of the 7 people have to sign that transaction for that transaction to happen, and then be sent to the bridge.
Okay, Dave Krieger says that liquidity decreases the time of transactions, but that's on the Binance Smart Chain network, not on our network, right?
Yeah, that wARRR is on Binance Smart Chain, so every single wARRR transaction that occurs is on a completely separate network.
A few people are asking, is there going to be a video?
Yes, absolutely. As soon as wARRR is launched, we will get right on to making a video, a tutorial on how to use it and how to provide liquidity, how to stake it, every single thing about wARRR. So anything that people have questions on in terms of how to do certain things, all of that should be answered within that video, and that'll be available maybe a day, at most 2 days after the launch of WARRR, after the official launch of WARRR.
David Weller is asking, can I just buy and hold? What is the best thing to do here?
Totally up to them. If they want to buy WARRR, by all means, go for it. I mean, like I said, the whole main purpose of it is to exit BSC. So I don't really see a reason for buying it if you're just going to hold and not stake or provide liquidity or basic. I mean, you could, if you, like I said, if you wanted to buy it because you're wanting to exit BSC and convert it to R, then by all means go for that. But if you're buying WARRR just to hold WARRR, I mean, that kind of defeats the purpose.
What's to stop some one person from buying like a lot of the supply and holding it hostage?
Um,
Well, that was the whole point of the multisig wallet and the provision of 15%
Yep.
amount, but making only 5% available in the beginning.
Yeah, so basically, if somebody were to buy the entire amount that's in the gateway, or basically somehow, buy it up and convert their R to WARRR and whatever, and basically they own the entire circulating supply of WARRR, that means they bricked the gateway, meaning that no additional R can come into the gateway to be converted to WARRR. So that's, like Tim said, the reason for the provisional WARRR that's in the multisig wallet. So if that event were to occur, we can provide additional WARRR to the gateway.
Somebody's asking inside the Discord chat, will the R locked on the bridge be burned if something catastrophic would happen to Binance Chain?
No, it will not be burned. Basically, there are ways to find out not who owns the WARRR, but basically verify addresses that have WARRR in it, and then they can provide a Z address to send it to, and all of that can be verified and things like that. Because we've had these discussions on contingency plans in case, for example, say something were to happen to BSC or anything of that extent. So everything can be made right if something were to happen to BSC and say BSC just disappears. We can look back through the history and figure out, okay, so these are all the addresses up until that point it disappeared that held WARRR, and then users can verify via transaction signing and so forth that they are the owners of those addresses, and then they can, from that point, provide a Z address to send the R to. So we have these contingency plans and prepped and ready in case of things like that.
What if the people that, these people that are holding the keys to the contingency plans die? What would happen?
That's why there's 7 people. They're spread out everywhere around the world.
What if they all took the COVID vaccine and they all died? What would happen?
Well, then no more WARRR would ever be provided to the gateway. That's it. So it would be basically locked at 10 million. Yeah, 10 million. Or is it? Yeah,
Right.
10 million.
All right. So I think the whole idea here, guys, is not to stake a lot. Keep in mind, it could all be seen. So you're taking a risk for that reward. Right. So when you take that risk of, putting R into WARRR, you get the reward of liquidity staking, right? But it is a risk. You don't want to show to people how much pirate you got. So there's definitely a big advantage not to go buy up a supply of war. Everybody wants to just keep a tiny little piece, I think, in there. That would probably be the most beneficial way of just getting some gains in the long run.
Well, it's totally up to the user. I mean, the thing is that if you use a clean address, which you're able to do with war, and then just throw some BNB at it from somewhere else, nobody knows you have that address, So literally, you can provide liquidity and stake it with that clean address. And then from that point, you could just continually withdraw your rewards back to R, and nobody will know where it's going.
There's nothing to link it to at that point.
Yeah, exactly.
It's when you start doing trades and you start buying stuff with it, and you start, linking it to a bunch of other applications, doing a bunch of other stuff, that you can start linking it to who you are.
Yeah, if you only use it for war and withdrawing war and converting it back to R, you're good. You're solid.
I think one thing that maybe needs to be mentioned, which we haven't already, is that R so far has had some limitations on the platforms it exists. Is that right? So basically, we don't have an iOS sort of wallet yet. We're not, we can't be added on MetaMask or other wallets. We can't be added to hardware wallets. How does that change with WARR?
To be completely honest, I would prefer not to develop anything for war, aside from what we're currently doing.
Oh no, I'm not asking that. I'm asking how many more access places does WARR provide to get into R and then be able to trade into R?
Oh, tons. Absolutely tons. Anywhere that offers, any tokens on their exchange, or, in whatever application or smart contract, or you name it. We can potentially integrate with those things. But like I said, I'd be very careful with what we choose to do with war, aside from what we're currently doing.
But I mean, if you look at the DeFi community, we are inviting the DeFi community to access WARR and then convert to R and then, experience 100% privacy, right?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. But there's a difference from purchasing WARR and converting to R as compared to, say, utilizing it in different forms or fashions with different smart contracts or different platforms or whatever. Because then, obviously that creates traceability because it's on BSC. Like I said, the main point of this is to utilize it as a service to exit BSC into R. But if users choose to do with it whatever, in whatever questionable fashions, then yeah, by all means, go for it. I mean, I'm not the one to tell them what to do, but in the effort to preserve privacy and to stay anonymous, the best thing to do with WARR is just, buy it and then convert it back to R. Straight up. But like I said, I'm not the person to tell people what to do. So.
Okay, now there are different groups of users here who, I mean, from the comments on the socials, it looks like there's very different groups of users. So I think we need to maybe take a little bit of time to clarify how every user can enter this. So if you want to buy WARR and you're coming from the DeFi space, what do you do?
If you're coming from the DeFi space and you want to buy WARR, you'll go to PancakeSwap, select BNB as the purchasing currency, and select WARR as the currency to be purchased. Type in the amount of BNB you want to spend, and then hit complete, submit, and then approve the transaction on MetaMask, and you're done.
Okay, if you're a pirate chain holder, so you have R already, but you want to get involved with WARR, which are the two ways to do it?
It all depends. If you don't have MetaMask and you've never used BSC, it's a little bit more of a process because you'll have to convert some of you create it. You have to download and install the plugin or the extension for MetaMask. Set up your wallet. Once you do that, you have to add the BSC network into your wallet. From that point, you can convert R to WARR and send it to that address. But keep in mind, you need BNB. Even it's like maybe a cent worth of BNB, maybe 5 cents worth, whatever, as gas. Because remember, it's on a separate network. You're going to pay that network's gas. So you have to have a little bit of BNB sent to that wallet, and then from that point, you can sell some of it, or sell all of it, or sell provide liquidity if you send enough BNB, enough to provide liquidity and so forth. If you are an existing user on BSC, then all you got to do, then obviously you have BNB in your wallet for gas. So all you got to do is just convert R to WARR on the website and have it sent to that address, and you're done.
Great, thank you. That's good to know, because obviously I think some people are confused as to if they need BNB to buy WARR, or and I don't think they're sure that there is two ways to do it. One way to just straight up convert R to WARR, and then another way to go to the full length of it, which is to convert R to WARR, then buy BNB, and then provide liquidity to do liquidity staking.
Well, keep in mind that, like I said, you can sell other assets on BSC for WARR. That's how Uniswap and PancakeSwap and all those other places like that work, right? So there's a thing called hops, right? So say, for example, we have the RBNB liquidity pair on PancakeSwap, so you can directly swap for WARR and BNB, right? Now, say you have a little bit of BNB, but you have a ton of another token that's on BSC, right? What you can do is you can swap that token for WARR. The way that works is that it does a hop. What does that mean exactly? That means that you sell that currency for BNB, or that token for BNB, and then it hops over to WARR and buys WARR. So think of it as like an intermediary swap. So and this automatically happens without you having to do anything. So all you got to do is put in that token as the token that you're spending, and then select WARR as the token that you're buying, and then convert it. Automatically does everything for you. So you don't need to have BNB to purchase WARR necessarily. You just need to have BNB as gas, as if you have another token that you're planning on selling, that is. But users that are in DeFi already know this. That was mainly geared toward people who don't know anything about DeFi or BSC or PancakeSwap for that matter.
Great stuff, thank you. Francesca on YouTube, she's asking why buy WARR compared to R?
Well, it all depends. I mean, if you have funds on BSC that you want to exit privately, that's when you would pick buy WARR, because you already have funds on BSC and you're trying to exit privately. So you buy WARR, unwrap it to R, you're done. Now you have R. If you don't have any funds on BSC and you're not trying to do some staking or some sort, then yeah, straight up buy R. Absolutely. It's always better to buy on the native chain because you stay private.
Yeah, so basically, this is a nice off ramp into a privacy realm. Unless you're planning on investing for long term, putting some money in for liquidity staking, you probably wouldn't go into a visible area voluntarily without a reason, right?
Exactly.
So yeah, so it's really offboarding into Pirate. That's amazing.
So essentially, PancakeSwap will become, another, DEX that can be used to purchase a version of R, which can then be converted into the actual R.
Yep. Exactly.
And they are a decentralized exchange, aren't they?
Yes. So it does is trustless swaps basically.
So somebody on Twitch, living at large, is asking, is war like Tor in some way?
Is war like Tor?
Yeah. Like how Tor anonymizes your internet activity.
Right. No, it's
Does
absolutely not.
war anonymize your DeFi activity?
Yeah,
Only if you follow
Uh,
the process, right?
no, war is completely transparent.
Yeah,
Like
but
I
yeah,
said, the
it can
point
only
of
anonymize your activity only if you convert war to R.
right.
yeah, R is the thing that would anonymize your activity, right? It's just an off ramp. Like think of it as like going like let me think.
One's a private network and one's a public network. That's it. They're two separate networks. War
Yeah,
runs on a public network. Tor, the packets run on a pirate on a private network.
Yeah, so
It's on
if
a
you're a
pirate.
holder of Pirate, war doesn't have so much functionality for you. But if you're a holder of DeFi, then by getting into war means you can exit into R, and that's how you anonymize your funds.
yep,
Like
exactly.
if you go into war, if you want to like get war to have some for liquidity staking, I would say just get a tiny amount. I mean, you don't want to make your bags visible to the public. You're kind of
Well,
that,
no,
that's not the
well,
solution. That's not what you're looking for. Yeah, that's not the point of pirate, right?
well, Lutz, keep in mind that as long as you use a clean wallet, it wouldn't matter.
Right.
And
Well,
as long as that's the only thing that you're doing with that wallet, then it won't matter, right?
Okay, can we explain to people what a clean wallet is?
A clean wallet is a new wallet that doesn't have any outside transactions associated with it with previous stuff. So, for example, if you were to create a clean wallet, have convert R to WARR, and have it sent to that wallet, and then have some BNB sent to that wallet as well from some other address. So from like a bridge somewhere, so it's pretty much clean. At that point, that's not traceable to any of your other wallets. It's a completely clean wallet.
And if you don't want to transmit your address, so let's say you have that clean address, right? But you don't want to send it via message on a messaging app, or on any social media thing, or on email, or anything like this. Is it wise to use the memo field of one of the Pirate Chain wallets, so that
Well,
address,
the moment,
send it yourself, it's not visible anywhere?
I mean, if you needed to send it to yourself, I mean, yeah, you could do that. I mean, you could. I mean, I don't know why you would really need to do that, but if you had to do that, yeah, you could use the memo field in Treasure Chest and just send yourself a transaction. I mean, that would probably be the most private way to do it.
Okay, somebody has raised their hand, Kryptonian, so I've invited him to speak. Kryptonian, what is your question?
You're muted, buddy.
Alex Kelleher is asking on YouTube, are there plans to market WARR to the DeFi community?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. We're going to be careful with how we market it, but yes, absolutely marketing it to DeFi communities.
Yeah, I think we're going to have an article coming out soon potentially on Cointelegraph that will be mentioned.
Yep.
I don't think that Kryptonian has sorted out his issues with his microphone, or he's muting.
Yeah, I can see he deafened himself, so I think he's trying to figure stuff out.
Okay. Lucas is asking, is there a contract address yet?
There is. I'll provide all of that information once we're ready to go. It'll be in the announcements and everything. So the contract address, the staking address, and everything. So.
Hey, is there any relationship between like using the liquidity staking as a replacement, sort of, kind of like for a tail emission?
Mm,
I mean, it's definitely a good way for to get a little interest on your wood, that's just sitting there normally.
no, because it's not native to Pirate Chain. Like it's not built into our native chain. I mean, literally, it's just like the transaction fee on Pirate. So it's essentially the same thing.
Hey, it's
But
another way to earn income, like mining, right? You could earn pirate.
yeah, but you can think of staking on WARR as kind of like proof of stake in a sense. So you obviously we would never want to move to that. So it would still be proof of work, but the tail emissions, it would just be the transaction fees, and that's it. So
can we mention very quickly what the difference is between staking and liquidity staking?
So staking just involves one asset, right? So it's a specific token. For example, BNB or you know any other token that's on a specific platform. Now, liquidity staking involves providing two assets. So, for example, WARR and BNB providing liquidity into a decentralized exchange like PancakeSwap. And when you do that, you get sent liquidity pool tokens, which represents your share within that pool, and then that's what you would stake.
Can we go back to staking and explain what the process is? So you said it does involve one single asset, but what do you do with that asset to do staking?
Wait, say that again?
So in terms of staking, what is the process of staking, like a one asset sort of staking situation?
All right, so staking just one asset, you would literally just have however much of that asset and then click stake on whatever platform it is, and then you're staking it. That's it.
Okay, so that's kind of like a form of interest, right?
Well, I wouldn't even dig that deep into it.
Okay.
It could be used for many different things, but that's not what we're doing. What we're doing is liquidity staking, which to do that you would have to have BNB and WARR, and then provide an equal amount of each as in liquidity on PancakeSwap, and then in your wallet you'll see that you have liquidity pool tokens, which represent your share in that pool. Now, you go to the website for WARR, and then you go to the staking portion of it, and then you just follow the instructions and stake it. That's it. And then from that point, you just sit there and let your let the amount grow. And then you can claim your rewards at any point in time. So if you build up, say, like 3 R or 3 WARR, you just claim that and then convert that back to R if you want.
And you mentioned that this is a long-term strategy. So how
Yes.
long would people need to sort of lock their funds in for?
Well, there's no need. I mean, to get the maximum benefit, you want to do it at least, I don't know. It all depends on the amount of transactions that occur on the network, right? So if there's a lot of WARR transactions and you make, a decent amount of money, you can, from a decent amount of R, you can just withdraw one, you can just unstake your liquidity whenever. But realistically, there's no real reason to do so because you just created a passive income machine for yourself. So why would you just remove that passive income stream unless there's an emergency?
So this is a long-term investing, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, think of it like buying a miner, right? You're not going to mine for like 5 days and then turn it off. You just leave that bitch on and just continue mining forever until it dies, you know? So when it comes to like, liquidity staking with WARR, provide liquidity, just leave it and just call it a day. Just keep getting income.
D. Barker on YouTube says, this reminds me of a more streamlined way to get BNB straight to privacy, similar to the BTC Monero BTC-R thing, which involves a few more steps. Am I thinking correctly here?
Yeah, I believe so.
So there's less steps in anonymizing now DeFi funds than there is in anonymizing sort of crypto funds.
Yeah. Because literally you could just buy WARR from PancakeSwap or sell your assets for WARR on PancakeSwap and then go to the website, fill in your Z address that you want it sent to, and then just send it. Done.
And then you hold R, and that means that all of those converted DeFi funds have become
Anonymized, yeah. They disappear. Actually, there's a question on the chat. Bible Anarchist says, are there any risks of our R being lost, stolen, or network issues disappearing once it's staked? No, there isn't. It's all done. The staking is done via smart contracts, and no, I made sure everything is audited and everything, and everything is solid. And there's like I said before, there's no minting function either built into the contract. So there's no way for somebody to mint coins with mint WARR out of thin air, right? So everything is already set in stone as to the total supply that can ever exist. Somebody said, so both WARR and BNB are needed for liquidity staking, and BNB is just used for gas, correct? If so, will BNB have to continuously be supplied to keep liquidity staking going? If I'm reading that, well, basically, I kind of get the gist of what you're asking. So, if you want to provide $1,000 worth of liquidity, you need to provide $500 worth of WARR and $500 worth of BNB, and then provide the liquidity. And then from that point, when you stake it, you still need BNB for gas to stake and claim rewards. That's it. So if you claim your rewards daily, obviously you'll need, maybe a couple bucks worth of BNB to last quite a while. But I mean, if you have a couple bucks worth of BNB and you claim like every week or so, that those funds will last you a very long time. Yeah, so wARRR.io isn't up and running yet. So, like it's not even pointing to a server yet. So that'll all be fixed once the server's ready to go and everything's up and running. Oh, gotcha. No worries. Yeah, so wARRR.io and wARRR.pirate.black are not up and running and available yet. We're still finishing up some stuff on the gateway, making sure everything's perfect, and then once everything is done, that's when we'll make the sites go live and make the announcements, provide liquidity or the initial liquidity, and then go from there. All right, I want to make sure that there are no basic questions that need to be answered or that people have after this meeting. I mean, obviously, people who don't listen to this meeting may have some basic questions that they need to be explained, but everyone that's in this meeting right now, I want to make sure that there's no simple questions that they have. Because after receiving a lot of the questions that we've seen, it's just like, we kind of went through all this and there's still some of the same questions. So I want to make sure that everything is answered. All right, if there's any other questions, speak up. If not, then we'll start wrapping this up. Hectox, as far as the gas is concerned, literally it's like 0.002 or 0.003 BNB. It's really cheap. So if you claim every day, you maybe need like maybe 30 to 40 cents worth, I think. Voluntarist semen. That's funny, wrapping this up. Skeptical Eye, yeah, we are not live yet on wARRR.io or wARRR.pirate.black. So there's literally no server that it's pointing to right now. So everyone, please hold off on visiting those sites because we have not made anything go live yet. Dodgers, you said if I want to stake 100 I would need to acquire 100 BNB as well. No, you want to. Okay, so basically, you want to stake 100 convert that to WARR, and then when you go to the liquidity section for BNB and WARR, if you type in 100 WARR, it'll tell you how much BNB you would need to provide. So it's say WARR is at $3, and you want to provide 100 WARR, that means that you need to provide $300 worth of BNB, which is, I think BNB is about $300 at its current price. So you need to provide like one BNB, you know. So it'll tell you when you try to provide liquidity how much BNB you would need to provide. I had to see it. It is 1-to-1 in terms of like how much WARR and BNB you need to provide, but it's 1-to-1 in its value. So in other words, you know, $3 worth of WARR and $3 worth of BNB. Well, yeah, Kingslayer. That's understanding impermanent loss is important, but also keep in mind that when you're staking, you have to look at the amount of transactions that are occurring on for WARR and between buys and sells, or just sending it places. You have to look at how much is being staked in total compared to how much you're planning on staking, and how long you plan on staking for. If you're planning on staking for a very long time, then it makes more sense to stake than to not stake. So there's a lot of different variables that go into that. Yeah, I see. I know, but sometimes I want to make sure that it's 100% clear. So sometimes I have to say stuff like that. Correct. You won't be able to stake your R until you have some BNB. Yeah. Like I said, this is intended for um, users, for existing DeFi users. But for those of you who aren't really experienced with DeFi or don't have anything on BSC, there will be tutorial videos and documents and everything on how to do any of this stuff. Kryptonian said, worth mentioning, you can send a non-send BNB to your clean address via that website. I'm not familiar with the website, so I'm not going to mention its name, to be honest. I mean, you're probably right, but I don't want to potentially promote something that could be nefarious. I don't know. But yeah, just if it is legit, then yes, there are ways to send BNB, a non-send BNB to a clean address. So there's probably other websites as well that do that. Key to the gate. We're planning on basically stating that you can anonymously exit BSC via the utilization of the WARR service. So you can purchase WARR and then convert that to R, and then your funds just disappear. How people choose to use it, that's totally up to them. But we have some unique marketing plans to utilize with WARR. So, but we got to be careful with what we say, how we say it. As far as the war contract address, we will provide that once we're ready to officially launch. So
EF426 on YouTube is asking what pairings will wARRR see on PancakeSwap?
well, it's just war BNB. However, the unique thing about PancakeSwap and exchanges like it is that you can exchange any token you want for war. It just goes through an additional hop. So if there's liquidity for token A and token B, or say if there's liquidity for token A and then you're trying to get war, you would basically put into PancakeSwap token A and then war, and what ends up happening is when you hit sell or when you complete that transaction, it sells token A for BNB, then buys war with that BNB. So it automatically does that for you, so there's no extra steps that you need to take. So technically, you can buy anything with any asset. All right, we'll take a couple more questions, then we'll start wrapping this up. Is there anything from the other socials?
Matthew Barnes is asking, I understand the exit strategy, but passive income is what I would like.
I mean, that's not really a question.
Well, I guess passive income, as he describes it, is probably liquidity staking, right?
Yeah, that's what he was referring to.
Gabriel Petku is asking, can we sell wARRR for BNB?
Yeah. I mean, there's going to be initial liquidity provided, and I guarantee other people are going to be providing liquidity to stake it. So if you wanted to convert R to wARRR and then sell it, yeah, I mean, by all means, you're able to do that.
And Matthew Barnes is asking, any prediction on APR?
My least, and I mean this seriously, my least favorite acronym in crypto, hands down, is APY and APR. Because literally 95% of any project that states an APR or APY is just wrong. Literally, because if you have an APY or an APR and it changes constantly, it's no longer an APR because what real information can you derive from it? There's no static APR or APY no matter what you do. And that's true for 95% of projects out there at least. So the amount of income that you get from staking depends on several factors. Depends on the amount of transactions that occur that day, the amount of war that was transacted, the amount that you stake compared to the entire the entire amount staked by by everybody, and so forth. So there's so many different factors, and it changes every second because every time there's a transaction, your APY or APR goes up. But then the next day, if there's not as many transactions, obviously the APR is different from the previous day. Or if there's the same amount of transactions and even the same amount of war that's transacted, and a few people less, or a few people stop staking, now your APY goes up again. Or if more people start staking, your APY goes down. So it is the most ridiculous term that I've found in DeFi because it literally makes no sense to use it. So there's no APR, APY that's going to be stated because there's literally no way to derive that information correctly.
Cochinada is asking, how can war influence the price of R?
It can influence the price of R by, if it goes up or goes down more than what the current price of R is, there's going to be arbitrage. There's going to be, there's tons of different things that can happen. So, if the price of war shoots up significantly, obviously more people are going to be potentially buying R to sell for convert to war and sell on PancakeSwap. So, who knows? It's something that nobody can really predict what could happen, but that is one possible scenario that could happen.
Alex Kelleher is asking, can you give a timeline of what's happening in the coming days to get this up and running?
So from the way it looks, the bridge and website will be ready in the next few hours. We're going to do a little bit more testing, just make sure everything's perfect, and then fund the gateway with WARRR from the multi-sig wallet. And then provide liquidity on PancakeSwap. And once that's done, we're ready to go. So that could happen late tonight. But more than likely, tomorrow we'll officially announce the launch of the entire platform and be good to go. So. All right. If that's all the questions, then let's wrap this up. So just to brief overview of the meeting. I went through the fact that I wrote up, or FAQ that I wrote up based on a bunch of the questions that were coming in from various users. We will have tutorial videos and a tutorial document on how to do everything with WARRR, whether it be converting WARRR, staking WARRR, providing liquidity, etc. The gateway is being finished up, should be ready in the next few hours. Same thing with the website, and you'll be able to convert WARRR on the website and stake it. The two websites which are not live yet, so don't even bother going to them, is warrr.io as well as warrr.pirate.black. And we'll make an official announcement when everything's ready to go, liquidity is provided, and everyone can start using it. So, I'm wrapping up WARRR. So, anyways, appreciate everybody coming. Thank you so much for all the questions. Hope that everyone's a lot more knowledgeable on what WARRR is and what's going to happen with it and so forth. And stay safe, stay healthy, and I will catch you all next time.